Before we were allowed to read, before we were allowed to vote, before this country ever acknowledged our humanity, Black people designed joy. Not borrowed it, not asked for it, not waited for it. We built it. We built joy the way architects built cathedrals, on faith, on rhythm, on memory, on each other. Joy was how we survived, a world not designed for us. Welcome back to Blk By Design, where our stories breathe out loud. Today we're breaking down the blueprint of Black joy, why it's resistance, why it's survival, and why joy itself is a design form. Because you don't stumble into joy, you construct it. When people outside of our culture talk about joy, they usually mean happiness. But when Black folks talk about joy, oh, it's something different. That's skill, that's intention, that's legacy. Joy has always been part of our survival architecture, something our ancestors passed down the way people pass down recipes. They didn't give us land, they didn't give us wealth, they didn't give us safety, but they gave us joy, something no one can steal, auction, or legislate us out of. So here's my question. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to feel joy without earning it, without apologizing for it? Just sit with that for a second. Now, let's go back in time for a moment, because the story of our joy didn't start on TikTok or even at brunch. It started long before that. Black joy is ancient. Cookouts where the plate was always heavy, and somebody's uncle was always working the grill like he owned stock in charcoal. Ballroom culture, our queer and trans elders designed safety, beauty, movement, and family from scratch. Those weren't moments. Those were blueprints, or dare I say, black prints. Black prints for how to stay human in the face of systems built to destroy us. So, who in your life modeled joy for you? Who taught you that joy was collective, not individual? Because that's the magic. Black joy is something we build together. And speaking of building, I think it's time for our next segment, where we highlight someone whose work represents intentional, disciplined Black joy. Joy in motion, joy as a practice, joy as presence. This week's Black print is the incomparable Misty Copeland. Now listen, Misty didn't just enter ballet, she redesigned the damn space. She brought curves, power, and softness into her art form that told Black girls, you don't belong here. Misty Copeland isn't just a ballerina, she's a cultural redesign. Her presence in ballet represents a seismic shift in a space that historically has been hostile, exclusive, and aggressive in terms of race, body type, hair, aesthetics, and femininity. Now here's why she's so significant. 1. She shattered a 75-year barrier at the American Ballet Theater. In 2015, Misty became the first Black woman ever promoted to principal dancer in the American Ballet Theater's 75-year history. That's not just a milestone, that's architectural restructuring. A blueprint ripped up and rebuilt. Her position validated something the world refused to see, that the Black body is capable of and belongs within the highest forms of classical art. Number 2, she challenged ballet's narrow beauty standards. Ballet has always been very rigid, Eurocentric definition of what a ballerina should look like. You know, slender limbs, narrow hips, small chests, long relaxed hair, very specific lines and silhouettes. Now Misty disrupts all of that by simply showing up in her body, curvy, muscular, Black, powerful. She didn't shrink to fit the space. She made the space expand to fit her. 3, she carried the pressure of visibility with grace and joy. When you're the first, you're not just dancing, you're representing, you're educating, negotiating, fighting, and soothing systems that weren't built for you. Yet Misty continued to perform with a joy that radiated beyond the stage. Her joy became a Black print for possibility. 4, she used her platform to create access for Black youth. Misty didn't stop at personal achievement, though. She has written books, spoken openly about race and body image in ballet, and partnered with organizations to make dance more accessible for underrepresented kids. She became the blueprint and then turned around and shared the blueprint. That's intentional design. That is legacy building. 5, she affirms that joy can be disciplined, quiet, and intentional. Now, this episode argues that Black joy isn't always loud. It can also be precise, excellent, focused, and grace under pressure. Misty's joy is crafted the way an architect drafts a building through repetition, training, breath, structure, purpose. Her joy is in the lines she forms with her body. Her joy is in the choice to stay, to rise, to leap. And 6, she shows Black girls and queer kids that they can belong in elite spaces. Representation isn't decoration, it's engineering. It changes a child's imagination. Misty shows millions that ballet isn't only for one type of person. It can be reimagined, redesigned, reclaimed. Because this episode is about designing joy, joy as a structure, joy as a resistance, joy as aesthetics, Misty is the perfect embodiment of that theme. Her joy is not accidental. Her joy took years of intention, reimagining spaces, claiming identity, pushing past barriers, designing new futures. She choreographed joy in a field that once erased us. She built a new architecture with her body, movement, and visibility. Now that is Blk By Design. So when's the last time you took up space in a room that didn't expect you or didn't want you, and you still found joy there? Because that right there is design. Now that we've seen joy through discipline and art, let's zoom into our present day. Let's talk about how we, right now, are still constructing joy brick by brick, moment by moment. Let's break down joy the way architects break down buildings. Every structure has 3 things. Number 1, a foundation. In this case, identity and self-worth. Black joy begins with knowing who you are and that your existence is worthy. Hair, fashion, slang, culture. We flex our identity through joy, even when the world calls it too loud, too much, or unprofessional. Number 2, a framework. In this case, is community. Joy is communal. Cookouts, choir practice, group chats, drag brunches, HBCU homecomings. Black folks didn't experience joy alone, we built it together. And 3, a design, imagination. Joy is creativity, music, dance, film, poetry, style. Black futurism is joy that dreams ahead. Joy tells us there is more for us than what we've been given. So, what joy rituals did you inherit? Which ones have you created for yourself? Write them down. Build from them. And speaking of imagination, it's time for my favorite segment. Let's give flowers to someone whose entire life's work has been about designing the emotional and spiritual infrastructure of Black joy, especially for Black queer folks. This week's pattern breaker, it's no surprise, the visionary Audre Lorde. A Black lesbian poet, warrior, mother, and architect of feeling. Audre didn't just write about joy, she framed it as a necessary part of liberation. Now, here's the quote we're breaking down today. Why does this quote matter so much for this episode? It's because it reframes joy, rest, and care as strategic survival tools. It acknowledges the emotional labor Black people carry daily. It tells us that joy is not luxury, it's maintenance. For Black queer people especially, joy is a reclamation of a word that often tells us to shrink. Audre designed language we are still using today. She designed truth. She designed permission. As we close, I want to bring everything together. Past, present, and future. The joy we inherited, the joy we practice, the joy we design for tomorrow. So, what structures in your life help you care for yourself? And what structures do you need to redesign? Listen, joy doesn't just show up. Joy is created. Joy is defended. Joy is chosen. So this week, I want you to create a small joy ritual, whether that's music, dancing, reading, whatever refills you. Design joy with others. Call a friend. Celebrate something small. Protect your joy. Set a boundary. Say no. Even log off. Now, how will you design your joy this week instead of waiting for joy to find you? Think about it. Write it down. Practice it. And if this episode helped you breathe deeper, think differently, or even smile for a moment, share it with someone who deserves uninterrupted joy today. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single episode of Blk By Design. And remember, joy isn't accidental. Joy is architecture, and you are the architect.